Welcome, everybody, to the ultimate guide for expats, expatriates, and digital nomads. Whether I call this video How to Be a Passport Bro or How to Find Romance Abroad or the ultimate guide for dating and being an expat, it doesn't really matter what title I went with on YouTube. That's, we all know why we're here, which is to learn by the end of this training how to travel or move overseas and date in a more favorable dating market. Respectfully, date more feminine, beautiful foreign women that don't have the unrealistically, I call this sometimes the comically high standards that Western women have. That's why we're here. That's what the goal is. Now, the goal is not tricking P for P or pay for play, or for guys who just want to run through a bunch of women like a dog. This training isn't for you. What I teach and what I specialize is having respect and going for legitimate relationships only. No S-tourism, if you know what S-tourism means, okay? So number one, what are you going to learn in this training? What things are we going to cover? Well, the first one is the most obvious, which is where should you go? What things did you consider when choosing where you want to go overseas for dating? Number two, how do you stay safe while traveling and dating abroad? This is a huge one. Number three, do you have to learn a foreign language? If so, what's the best way? What does the timeline look like to even learn a foreign language? How do you make friends when you go abroad? Visa situation. So if you fall in love with a country and you want to stay there, how can you actually legally stay there and not get kicked out of the country? The downsides of living abroad that nobody talks about, except for me because I keep it real here. Remote income. I'll go through this really quickly. I don't want to give a master class on how to make remote income, but I'll touch on this for those of you who are interested in that. And then 9, and this is the most important, the common mistakes. Stick around to the very end of the video because I'm going to list by far the most common mistake I see with passport bros or digital nomads or expats, expatriates when dating abroad. Okay, so I've saved the best for last, so make sure you stick around to the end. Real quick, my name is, Casey Redbeard. That's not my real name. I go by Casey Redbeard on the internet. I am a content creator, I guess you could say, in the red pill or dating or helping men's niche. I'm very passionate about teaching men how to escape the undesirable women and the undesirable dating circumstances in the Western world, United States, Australia, Canada, and getting much better results with more beautiful, feminine, traditional women who, like I said, don't have these unrealistic, comically high standards. And I do pretty well for myself. These are some of my results, but this is not about me. This is about you. So the first question is, where do we even go? If you see me looking off screen, by the way, it's because I have notes here so I don't forget anything. Well, there's a couple things such as cost of living. Now, in order to determine the cost of living, you can do simple Google searches and stuff like that. And one thing I want to emphasize is that we'll talk about this more, but it's not always as cheap as what they say. So if you get these like on Nomad Guide, it said like, oh, Medellin, Colombia, you can live like a god for, $600 a month. That's just absolutely not true. I would say for most countries and most places, again, I'm not even like Brazil, Latin America, Asia, to live like as a normal American standard, go out to eat once in a while, have hot water, have a place where you could actually like put your arms out and spin in a circle, actually have like enough like breathing room. You're not going to go pretty much anywhere in the world where you're living okay for anything less than about $2,000, maybe even $2,500 a month. And I'd really like to see you guys making at least $3,500 to $4,000 remotely online to actually have a pretty good chance of survival in these places and actually live a pretty good life. Now, in some places, are there random small donkey towns where you can maybe live on $1,500? Yes, but I don't recommend it. Don't go overseas until you can secure minimum $2,000 to $2,500 remotely. I don't care what any other, research avenue, other websites say, okay? Also talking about where to go. So don't break the number one rule of being a digital nomad, of being a passport bro. By the way, sorry if you get hung up. Don't get hung up on the word passport bro. I know that has a negative connotation for some people, but for dating abroad, the number one golden rule you must not break is dating must be easier. If you live in, I don't know, Los Angeles or Portland, Oregon or something, and you think going to a huge city in Latin America, such as Sao Paulo, Brazil, or Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, two cities I have personal experiences with, dating's not going to be that much easier. Did you know that there's 65 billionaires in Sao Paulo. I have to actually double check my stat on that. But whether I'm wrong, I'm sure you guys will roast me in the comments if that's not true. That's something I heard. But either way, the point is there's a lot of tall, rich, good-looking guys in Sao Paulo and Rio. A lot of big steroid-taken guys, 6'1", 6'2". Big cities create for terrible dating markets, okay? So big cities, a lot of infrastructure, a lot to do, easy to source things. There's a sports team, there's rooftop lounges, there's trending restaurants, there's other cool expats. Those tend to be the worst cities in the world for dating. If you go to Sao Paulo, dating's not going to be a whole lot easier than it is in the United States. If you go to a small city in Brazil, I'll say small, relatively small-ish, more remote city such as Manaus or Recife or Fortaleza, if you do your research and go to these smaller cities, dating will be orders of magnitude easier. So don't just think, I'm going to get on a passport. Sorry, I'm going to, get on a plane. I brought my passport. Anywhere I go is going to be easy dating. No, that's actually not the case. In many places, you're not even saving yourself. So typically you want to look for cities that have around 2 million people maximum or less. And just remember, there's always some exceptions. My buddy Austin Holloman says Kenya, Africa is Kenya, Africa. Nairobi, Kenya, that's the city. Kenya is not a city. Nairobi is a city. It's a big city. There's a lot to do, and yet dating is still easy. So there's a couple exceptions, but for the most part, the smaller, more dangerous, more rundown a city is, the better it is going to be for dating, the more it's going to be favorable for dating as a gringo, as any type of foreigner, any type of expat or passport bro. And the bigger the city is, there's a lot of expats, a lot of fun stuff to do, good infrastructure, sports teams. It's got a lot happening, good late night, good infrastructure. Those cities are going to be more tricky for dating. You have to also understand where you fall on the sexual market value. If you're already able to date super attractive women in the U.S., you're not going to have a problem in these big cities. But if you're having problems dating in the U.S., just getting a passport may not solve all your problems. We'll go into this more. Another place, English. So if you go to the Philippines, you don't have to learn another foreign language. If you want to go a lot of places in Eastern Europe, like say Romania, you don't have to learn Romanian. You don't have to learn, Tagalog or Visayan if you go to the Philippines. Will it help long run? Yes. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. If you're going to go anywhere in Latin America, you're going to have to learn Spanish or Portuguese. There's no city, maybe Mexico City, the top most educated girls there in that small cohort would all speak English. But other than that, just dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, you're going to have to learn Spanish or Portuguese for, Brazil. And there's a lot. So decide, do you have what it takes to learn a foreign language? We're going to go over what to expect and how long that takes, but that's a big thing to consider. Safety. There's a lot. You can do a simple Google search, right? Some places can be misleading because there's a lot of cartel on cartel violence. And then for just like a normal person, it's actually not that unsafe. But, do your research and decide, okay, for dating to be really advantageous, I'm willing to go to a dangerous city. Or you could say the opposite, okay? How far do you want to go from the U.S.? That's another option. Do you want to go Dominican Republic, Belize, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Mexico, these places that are not that far from the U.S., or do you want to go all the way down to, Brazil, Sao Paulo, which is 14 hours from the U.S.? In terms of where to go to get more ideas, I have a group called Modern Dating Mastery. It's a paid group, but I'm not here to pitch you. My good friend, Austin Holloman, he also has a group. I will put a link to Austin Holloman's group. His community and his group will probably be a lot bigger than mine, and he'll probably have better information on where to travel, although I certainly cover that in my community. If you don't see a link to Austin Holloman's group in the description of this video, it's because he hasn't launched it yet. I know he's working on it. I actually gave him the inspiration to create the product in the community. It's going to be launching. Hopefully, when you're watching this video, he has his community live and all his travel guides, and you can connect with people in that group. But if you don't see a link, it ain't out yet. Some free options would be the Passport Bros Facebook groups and YouTube. Just look, if you're an Indian guy, if you're an Asian guy, go to the Passport Bro groups and say, hey, is anybody a black man who traveled to Salvador, Bahia, Brazil? How did you get treated there as a black man? Do YouTube. Be resourceful. Be resourceful. Join groups. Do free methods. You don't have to pay me any money, but, be resourceful. Safety. Okay. So when you're meeting and dating women abroad, investigate her social media. Was it created yesterday? Does she have 2 photos? Or does she have photos going back to when she was a teenager? Does she show where she works? Is she tagging her friends? Does it show where she graduated college? If a girl just says she has no social media or no Instagram straight from Tinder, she's probably going to try to drug and rob you. Okay, maybe not all the time, whatever. Is she too forward? Does she suggest drinking? And let's be honest here. Are you going to Medellin? Like, answer this question. Are you going to Colombia as a whole, Cartagena, Medellin, maybe even Bogota? Most other countries, you don't have to worry about getting robbed and drugged. It would just be the other safety concerns. But if you're in Medellin, you know, is she proposing drinking a lot, right? If you do drink with girls in Medellin, or, you know, anywhere for that matter, but especially Colombia, do not let your drink out of your sight, not even for a second. Almost every story that I heard about a guy getting drugged, they use a drug called scopolamine, a guy getting scopolamined and robbed or scoped. 99% of the time, the story begins with, oh man, I was such an idiot and I ignored the red flags and, you know, she didn't have any ID. She wanted to go to this hotel, but at the reception, you know, she didn't have, you know, any ID. She pulled out some, you know, bullshit thing that I could tell was fake. And she was like, oh, I'm going to pour you drinks. And, you know, she would like take the cup of the drink that she made me into the bathroom and then come out with both. Like, most guys that get scoped in some, you know, I hate to say it, you know, kind of obvious way, not to, you know, victim shame, but, you know, is it too forward? And I don't want to scare you guys, but even in Medellin now, they're kind of playing the long game, or so to speak, meaning that, you know, they'll date guys for 3, 4, 5 weeks before ultimately drugging them, robbing them, having them kidnapped, etc. Other safety issues besides getting robbed is getting pickpocketed and public phone usage. Especially in Brazil, you know, big cities, Rio, Sao Paulo, people are known to just snatch your phone on a moto. So don't just be out, you know, your phone, you're texting, you're this and that. Just kind of like, if you have to make a call, just kind of like, you know, two-handed, like, you know, do your thing, look around, make sure no one's going to drive by, you know, use your phone and put it away. And then anytime you're in like big crowded areas, big nightlife areas, nightclubs where like people are like bumping into each other, it's kind of like bumper cars, and it wouldn't be that weird to get bumped into. Have your senses get heightened, because that's how people pickpocket you. They work in gangs, they work in groups. One person kind of like knocks into you on this side, one person bumps you at this side. And then like as you're being bumped and sandwiched, someone like goes into your pocket, snatches your phone, and then passes off to somebody else. So, you know, just hands in your pockets, or, you know, put your phone, I don't know, in your underwear or in like a little, you know, shoulder bag or something when you're in public areas. And then just the general safety guidelines, like, listen, don't be talking loud on your phone at night. Don't flash your jewelry. Leave your Rolex at home. Okay, you're not impressing anybody. Leave your chain and your Rolex at home. Number 3, learning a foreign language. So here are the ways to learn for a foreign language. Surprise, surprise, take formal classes. There's all these like marketplaces. There's italki is one of them. I'm sure there's a million competitors to italki where you can hire formal Spanish, Portuguese, whatever XYZ language teachers. And what you want to do is, you know, check the reviews and try a bunch. See who you click with. Don't just be like, oh, well, I hired a Spanish teacher. No, get like 4 or 5 or 6 Spanish teachers. See who has the best curriculum, who you feel the most comfortable with, who you actually enjoy talking to, and then pick the best out of like 4 or 5. Dating a bilingual chick, just, you know, dating a girl in Brazil who only speaks Portuguese and you want to learn Portuguese, that'll help a lot. But if the girl's bilingual, oh my God, it helps like orders of magnitude, because you can just like literally, you know, ask her things. Reading and making flashcards. This is something that very few people talk about, but helped me a lot. I speak Spanish extremely well, and my Portuguese is pretty damn good. And the way I learned these languages was reading a lot. So you can go, I like digital reading on a digital platform, meaning like I'll just Google something, I'll just type in, I don't know, the best cities for digital nomads, you know, fun lifestyle. I don't know, I'll just get some article or something up, and then I'll just read I'll in the foreign language. So I'll be like, ¿cuáles son los mejores ciudades para vivir para expatriados? Whatever, that's be in Spanish. And I'll just read in that language, read. You can get magazines, but I like digital because you can use a flashcard app called Anki, A-N-K-I. It's only on Android, I think, or at least it works better on Android, Anki Droid. And then the words that you don't know, you can just long press on them and immediately create a flashcard. You build up these decks of flashcards and you study the flashcards. But whether or not, you know, you get the new vocabulary from reading, or maybe over WhatsApp or Skype, you're doing your conversations, or maybe your in-person teacher, whatever, all the words that you don't know that come up in classes, make flashcards and study them. That's probably the only way you're going to really learn, you know, new vocabulary words, other than just, you know, navigating around. You learn the common words like sit, stand, run, walk, drink, eat. You'll learn those from just like life navigating around, but you won't learn, you know, the little bit more obscure words unless you actually make flashcards of them, if you're anything like me. The next thing you're going to want to know is how to make friends. So you're going to like pack up everything you need. You're going to leave Canada. You're going to leave Australia, wherever you're leaving from. You got to make all new friends. This is one of the biggest reasons why passport bros burn out and fail and don't get what they want out of life in terms of their travel or, their dating abroad ventures, is because they fail to make friends. So almost every city, except, maybe these small remote cities, which unfortunately they're like, the best ones. But even probably most cities will have a Facebook group for foreigners or expatriates. If I didn't define that already, an expat or an expatriate is somebody who left their country to go to another country. It's basically like a euphemism for immigrant. So, an American expat in Mexico would be like Americans that live in Mexico. So there's Facebook groups. You can literally do, expats in Medellin, expats in Bogota, expats in Rio de Janeiro. There's Facebook groups where you connect with people. A lot of them have WhatsApp groups. So if you just happen to meet a foreigner, I don't know, at the airport or through anything, a lot of times they can add you into WhatsApp groups for foreigners living in XYZ city. There are Passport Bro Facebook groups that you can use to find people living there. There's free Passport Bro Facebook groups. Communities, we already talked about this. I have a community. Austin Holloman has a community. There could be other paid communities that you can get into, or free ones like on the Facebook groups. And this is important. This is going to really make or break your success. I just want to say one thing, which I'm actually going to cover in the next slide as well, which is that making friends abroad, they probably won't be as good of friends as the people that were like your actual friends. So I think I even said it on the next slide. Convince a real friend to come with you. Convince a real friend, convince a real friend, convince a real friend. A lot of these expats are weird. They have very, very poor social skills. And they're just generally guys, like if you want to be friends with them back in America, don't be friends with them overseas just because like, oh, another English speaker. And another thing I wanted to point out is, what about, oh, just make friends with the locals? I'm going to talk about this in future things, but it's very, very difficult. So reminder, we're going to talk about that. But the short version is the cultural differences of people in these third world countries you're going to go to are going to be so massive. It's going to be really, 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 really hard. I don't know almost anybody who goes to Thailand and makes local Thai friends, or goes to Medellin and makes friends with the local guys in Medellin. Well, there's a lot of reasons why they don't do that there, but even Brazil would be one of these countries where you can find English-speaking, intelligent people, and you could have a good chance of making local Brazilian friends. I have a few local Brazilian friends, but understand that most of your best relationships and most of your friends are going to come from other Americans, Canadians, etc., other expats. Visa situation. So if you fall in love, how do you stay there? Well, it's always a bit of a hassle. It involves an FBI criminal background check for a lot of places. So what I had to do, I'll just finish. It involves an FBI criminal background check, a lot of bureaucracy, and can get expensive. So my situation for Brazil, I got my residency here. It's a student visa. I think I even talk about this here. Some countries you just simply apply. You don't really need a reason. You're just like, hey, I want to live in XYZ place. So like, sure, you can live here. But for other countries, you need a specific reason. The two most common are a student visa, which is typically 1 year with an option to renew after that, or a digital nomad visa, which is usually good for 2 years. And my process for getting my visa in Brazil, my residency, was I had to go to a Brazilian police station, get my fingerprints taken, have those fingerprints FedExed to the FBI in the United States. They used my fingerprints to match up with me and pull my criminal record. My criminal record was then sworn apostilled, which is basically mean it was notarized, and then sworn, translated into Portuguese, sent back to the Policia Federal, along with birth certificates and all this other crap. I, of course, hired an agency. I went through somebody. All in all, between paying the experts to help me to avoid stepping on any landmines, like as if I can handle this process, as I'm going to like send my fingerprints to the FBI and then have my FBI report translated and apostilled, like as if I'm going to do that myself. Between him and the Portuguese school, it was like $4,000 or $4,500 just for a visa, just to stay here for a year. Digital nomad visas might be a little bit cheaper, but then you have other countries looking into your taxes and stuff, and they might want to get their hands in your pocket. So it really just depends. And like I said, some countries you can just literally apply for residency. They have favorable tax stuff. So just be aware that, it's more than just figuring out where you want to go, but it's figuring out how can you actually stay and the place you decide to go. Okay, the downsides. What are the downsides of being a passport bro, of being an expatriate, someone going overseas? Well, you have the typical third world hassles and inconveniences that you guys may not be aware of. I wrote some down here. Check my notes. Online bill pay may just not work. You may have your utilities, your cell phone, your local phone plan, and it just may never, even if you have a local bank card, a local credit card, debit card from a, Brazilian bank and you're in Brazil, online bill pay may not work. You may have to leave your house and go to the store, stand in line every single time you want to make a payment. Very, very typical. Utility companies can just say, oh, you used all this water, you owe us money. And they just strong arm you. They can just, steal money from you. It can be impossible to source things. You want to get a nice webcam. I'm using a nice, HD webcam. Can't find that in Brazil. You want to find an external hard drive, a particular cable that you need to connect your audio equipment, a new lens for your camera, a particular supplement that you like to take, peptides if you're into that, or other performance enhancing supplements. You can't just order those and get those like you can in the US. It's very hard to source things. Sidewalks and roads could just be non-existent, and they could be dangerous. And look, there's just a lot of, I won't get into it, but there's just a lot of inconveniences, like stuff doesn't work, government bureaucracy. Like I said, it's really, really hard to source things. It's just, there's a lot of comforts that come from living in the first world. Other downsides, surprisingly expensive. You watch all these phony, losers on Instagram Reels and TikTok saying, I lived in Manila, Philippines, or Bangkok, Thailand for a whole month off of $1.50, bro. You did not if you want to live even remotely nice, even remotely like how Westerners and Americans are used to living, you're not going to do it for less than $2,500 a month. I don't care what any website or any other influencer, or I don't care what your TikTok reel says. It is expensive. Eating out is expensive. Uber adds up. Okay, whenever I travel, I always like to book an Airbnb that's next to the gym and the shopping mall. In Brazil, one time I messed it up. It was $5 an Uber to get to the gym, $5 back. I go almost 7 days a week, I go 6 days a week. Let's just call it 7 days a week, say every day to make the math simple. $10 there, $10 back. I was effectively paying $300 a month just to get my booty to the gym and back, okay? So don't make any mistake about it. It can get quite expensive. If you want to live nice in foreign country, if you want to live nice in Medellin, yeah, $4K, bro. Nice apartment in the city, eat out every once in a while, some entertainment, some fun, throw a party, I don't know, take a little trip to Watape, take out the jet skis. You're spending $4K minimum in a lot of these countries. Another downside, learning a foreign language is hard. The timeline to get pretty darn good to the point where you're, more or less comfortable, you're more or less understanding most of what people say, you can go on dates and you more or less don't need a translator. It's about 3 years, 3 to 4 years. And that's if you're learning Spanish, a pretty easy language. If you're going for Korean, Japanese, Thai, forget about it. It's like a lifelong journey, 10 years minimum to learn Japanese. Now, if you're one of these weird savants, if you know that you're a weird, gifted savant-like person, cool for you. But I'm talking about for most of us. Another downside, being a foreigner is just hard, right? You're constantly confused. They have their own politicians, they have their own reality stars, they have their own memes, they have their own culture, they have their own dance, they have their own martial art, they have their own, random TV shows. Like for some reason in Brazil, the show Everybody Hates Chris is super, super popular. It was never that popular in the United States. They're always going to be talking about, this and this, from Everybody Hates Chris. You're like, bro, nobody in America watched that show, right? So you constantly don't know what's going on, so some song that's really popular there, some artist, some type of music that you don't care about that everybody's into, and you're like, okay, I don't get that. I didn't get that joke. Like I said, you're talking 4 or 5 years to learn a language, and you're going to face racism and xenophobia. There's a few countries where maybe they have, a generalized worship of foreigners. Let's be honest. Maybe they especially have a worship of white foreigners in certain areas, like Asia, for example. But no matter where you are, there's going to be people that are haters, that don't like foreigners, that don't like seeing a foreigner come into their city, come into their country, and have their pick of the litter with women and, spend their dollars. And it can be It can be, irritating. I think I covered a lot of this, constant headaches with, we'll just do this one. Hard to make and maintain friendships. I talked about this a lot. It's going to be really, really hard to make friends with locals. Depending on where you go, you could be being used for your wallet by the locals, and the relationships may not even be very genuine relationships at all. It really just depends on where you're going and stuff like that. And another one I have here in my notes that I don't have on screen is, just another headache. Banking. Banking is going to be a constant problem. How do you get money into the country if you don't have a local bank? You go to Brazil, everyone's going to be like, Pix, manda Pix. I mean, send Pix, Pix. Pix would be like their version of Cash App, Venmo, Zelle. If you don't have Pix, good luck. Also in Brazil, you need this thing called a CPF. It's like a tax ID number. Sure, you can register for one. There's a little bit of process, not that hard to get. But bro, you can't even connect to the Wi-Fi at the mall until you register for this, CPF thing, and you can't make a reservation. So there's always hassles of living in the third world. There's always hassles of being a foreigner. There's always hassles of languages not going on. So expect a lot of confusion. It's not all unicorns and rainbows. But overall, I do like being a foreigner. I do like, going into a favorable dating market. And for me, it's all worth it for the feminine, beautiful women with, the more realistic standards. But like I said in the beginning, always just do it respectfully. We are guests in their home. Don't come down for S-tourism, and don't come here to be a dog and just try to get with a million chicks. Okay, remote income. I am not the albeit authority on remote income. It's not my strength. I think a lot of you guys may have already had this figured out. So don't worry. I will breeze through this quickly, but I'll also give advice if you are one of the people who does need help with this. So look for a job in sales, digital marketing, or tech. Why? Well, if you ever want to do any type of entrepreneurial venture, or just have a lot of room for upward mobility to make a lot of money, even as an employee, sales and digital marketing are going to provide that. Like I said, you want to start some business, you have some idea, you have some startup, you're going to need to know how to sell your idea to customers, to investors. You're going to need to know how to pitch and sell top tier talent, employees, people, business partners to work with you. You're always going to need to learn how to sell. If you can sell pretty well, especially get into high ticket sales, you can make a huge amount of money remotely. Same thing with digital marketing. If you have some new idea, some new project, and you want to promote that, share that with the world, make a ton of money by solving problems, no matter how good your solution is, you're going to have to market it. You're going to have to advertise. You're going to need to get customers, right? So sales and digital marketing are going to be skills that are just always going to be valuable. It's going to pay dividends to just, learn and know and be good at these things. And then tech. And let me see what I have here. The most common courses on Udemy, which is like if you want to learn a particular skill, you can get a course on Udemy. I have no affiliation with that website, obviously, but just so you know, like these are like a lot of them related to tech or, some of the things I mentioned, but just, food for thought. The most common things that people study, and I can only imagine people are studying things because there's a good job market for these skills in tech, are Python, web development, data science, being a project management professional, SQL, JavaScript, digital marketing, like we talked about, Java, machine learning, a bunch of C++ programming, ethical hacking, Chat GPT and AI, Unreal Engine, and project management. Okay, food for thought. All right, the most common mistakes. All right, now we're going to get into the juice. We're going to get into the really good stuff. So the biggest mistake is going to Medellin. So I won't harp on this. If you guys are a subscriber of my channel, if you've seen my other videos, you will know this already. By the way, you should be subscribed now because I deliver a lot of values and my videos for free if you can't tell. So the biggest common mistake is Medellin. I call Medellin the training wheels for passport bros. It's for the poor souls that, to be honest, they don't know any better. It's popular in pop culture. It's popular on social media. It's popular on TikTok. Medellin. Medellin has a very degenerate culture. I would say 85 to 90% of the attractive women in the city, not all the women, but 80 to 90% of the attractive women only are in some type of S work. You know what I mean when I say S work. They're doing OnlyFans or much, much worse, but they're selling their bodies, okay, in case you couldn't read between the lines. 80 to 90% of the girls in that city have a very degenerate society. It all revolves around prostitution and drugs and scamming people, getting over on one another, lie, cheat, steal. That is the general culture. The culture of Medellin is destroyed by the original Cartel de Medellin. from Pablo Escobar, the Ochoa brothers, all those, Carlos later, all those people. And the city never really recovered. It's basically a gigantic brothel. There's a huge racist and xenophobic movement towards gringos. It's basically, you live like a second-class citizen. You only have access to dating the bottom-of-the-barrel women, at least in terms of personality, not always looks. You can get very attractive women with very, very loose morals as a gringo there. But as far as like the English-speaking, educated, good women for long-term relationship potential, they don't date gringos in Medellin. You'll also find a lot of the worst expats in the world that go there for bad things. Let's say they go there for the wrong reasons. And ultimately, if you're going for meaningful relationships, you will be very, very disappointed in Medellin, and you may also lose your life. Okay, Medellin is one of the most dangerous cities for expats, Americans, Australians, Canadians to go to, so I do not recommend it, okay? Another common mistake is going to a city where dating isn't even much easier than it was back home. I touched on this in the beginning of the video, but just be aware if you're going to a big, popular, happening city that there's a lot of social media coverage on it, there's already a lot of expats there, there could be an exception. Give it a try. Also, look, maybe some of you watching this are 6'3", gorgeous, rich, and young. If that's you, you'll probably succeed in almost any dating market, okay? But for the most of us, for average guys, do not expect to go to Sao Paulo and Rio and have the 7.5s, 8s, and 9s line up for you. It's not like that. Go to Sao Paulo, you'll probably only be able to get girls a little bit more mildly attractive than the ones you got back home. Okay, I'm lying. It'll still be a night and day amazing improvement from America, Canada. I don't mean to make it that harsh, but point blank period. If you're going to, all the downsides I said, if you're going to do a visa, that's a nightmare, a bureaucratic nightmare for your visa. You're going to learn the banking system. You're going to learn a new language. You're going to make all new friends. If you're going to go through all this inconvenience, at least go to a place where dating is significantly easier, okay? Now, one thing I didn't mention, you can do Tinder Passport, and you can do a lot of research, and you can literally see how well are you matching with these girls and stuff like that. But a lot of you guys probably have really crappy photos, and we're going to talk about that under the mistakes. Remember, the biggest mistake ever is coming up, so stay tuned. Not learning the local language, that's a big one. Even if you get a girlfriend that speaks English, she's bilingual, she helps you navigate, you're just not going to get the true enjoyment out of that city, out of that country until you learn the local language. You're not going to be able to comfortably order at a restaurant. You're always going to need her around to translate for you. It's a big mistake. I see this all the time. Guys live 2, 3, 4, 5 years in Brazil and their Portuguese sucks. It's ass. Your enjoyment, your love of a country and a culture goes through the roof. So invest to learn the language. We talked about this, failure to make and retain friends. Just thought I'd mention that again. Running out of money. People think it's all fun and games. Again, people don't realize how expensive it is. A lot of guys come overseas and they're only spending a little bit less than what they spent back home. So yeah, running out of money is a problem. You need to still manage your finances. And like I said, if you minimum $3,000 to $3,500 to live pretty well in most places. And then another big mistake is just not seeing reality. This is what I mean by guys who go to Medellin. They have the rose glasses, whatever it's called. They don't, or silver lining. I don't know. I'm failing on these phrases or whatever you want to call them. But a big regret of mine is wasting too much time in Medellin. And, when I got there, it wasn't as bad in terms of racism or xenophobia. There were still some good girls in Medellin, some English-speaking, educated women that were available for gringos to date. But as that kind of changed and the gap, it went from 30% of the quality women are open to dating a gringo to 25, 20, 15. By the time it got to 2, 3, 4, 1% of the quality women there being open to dating a gringo, I would no, it's not that bad, or no, I just need to work on myself more, or I just need a better system. I just need a better way of doing it. And we came to a point where me and my buddy just had this conversation. We're like, okay, of the last 15 girls we've been on a date with, how many of them have directly asked us for money in some way? Buy me this, or you owe me money for sex, or something like that. It was, we came to the conclusion for both of us, it was about 13 or 14 of the last 15 women we went on a date with ultimately asked us for money. Or even in Sao Paulo, I kept saying, I just need to work on myself more. I just need to level up more. It's me. The problem is me. The problem isn't me. The second I left Sao Paulo to go to a better city, for dating, my results exploded. Bro, in the city I'm in Brazil, it's a relatively small city, relatively unknown, untapped by foreigners in the middle of the Amazon called Manaus. I am legitimately picking up beauty pageant winners. Subscribe to this video. It'll be either the next upload or maybe a few uploads in the future, but subscribe to this channel if you want to see the whole story. I'll try to even post photos. Sometimes girls are like, take me out. I don't want to be in your videos. I found you on YouTube. I don't want to be there. So maybe I'll have to blur her face out or something, but I'll try to post her actual photos and everything. But I'm picking up legitimate beauty pageant winners, like hard nines, absolute, like the girls you see on Instagram with the blue check, the girls that you visit their page alone at night and touch yourself to late at night when nobody's around. The girls that look like that, I'm legit picking them up from day game at a shopping mall in Manaus. That would never happen in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Did I still get a lot of success in Sao Paulo? Yes. Do I still love the women there? I think the women are educated, beautiful. There's a pretty decent English speaking rate. But at the end of the day, I said, I got to go back to the number one rule. Why would I go and uproot my life to go to a city like Sao Paulo? Amazing city, amazing people, but the dating isn't favorable enough. Then you go to, Manaus and you're like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be like. I'm supposed to, walk up and most girls are supposed to like me. With my sick, amazing social media profile, I'm supposed to match with most girls I want on dating apps. I'm supposed to have them super eager to meet up with me, right? So don't get in this thing where you're just telling yourself, well, Rio's not that bad, or this and that. Just see these countries for what they are, basically. Don't sell yourself a lie or a dream. And now we're on to the most common mistake that I see with passport bros, expatriates, guys who go overseas, whatever label you want to put on yourself, I don't care. But men going overseas for the purposes of dating more feminine, beautiful women is not understanding that just getting a passport and just going overseas won't solve all your problems. Did I read that phrase? Not understanding that, whatever. Basically, they think that just getting a passport and going overseas will solve all their problems in dating, and it won't. Okay. So here's things that you still need to work on. Social skills. This is one of these things where no man will admit that he doesn't know how to fight. No man will admit that maybe his lower anatomy between the legs is kind of small. No man will admit that he doesn't have his finances in order and can't provide for himself or his family. And no man wants to admit that he has poor social skills. For 99% of you watching this, I'm sorry to say, your social skills, they ain't it. They can use a lot of improvement, okay? This monk mode thing, some of you guys are already successful entrepreneurs. You rent out your little box on the 15th floor. You work at home. You shower at home. You do your Zoom and virtually a lot of socializing from home. You very rarely emerge from you're like a little golem in your little cave. You come outside, you see sunlight for the first time at 4 p.m. Okay, go out, make a WhatsApp group, work on your social skills, try to strike up random conversations, talk to that random person at the gym, make chit chat with your Uber drivers, plan stuff, be social, be a leader, make a WhatsApp group. Okay, but just understand that you guys still got to work on these things, right? Level up your looks. Okay, this could be in a lot of ways. I don't want to get too much off on a tangent here, but just you focusing on your physique and making that the main thing for the next 6 months and getting a sick shirtless photo as your main profile for a dating app could change your life. Could be the difference between 10 matches a month to 10 matches a week or even 10 matches a day. Okay, really studying what it takes to get a better physique, to get better photos. You can also whiten your teeth. I got to take my own advice on this. I'm just saving up money. A lot of you guys watch my channel and think because I'm a YouTuber, I'm like this millionaire. No, I'm saving up money to get my teeth whitened. I already got the hair transplant. You can see this kind of messed up hairline from here. I already have a perfect hairline. From here, it's almost perfect. From here, you can kind of tell it's growing in. Aside from, like I said, dropping body fat and building muscle, you can get a skincare routine. I used to have horrible eye bags. I started applying vitamin C, niacinamide, and hyaluronic acid and using a light oil-based cleanser on my face every day. That's my skincare regimen. It helped a lot. It made a very, very noticeable difference in the quality and appearance of my skin. I now have a more glowing look. I now no longer have eye bags, okay? Dress better, work on your fashion. Maybe get, a tiny cosmetic procedure. If you're this, good-looking guy, but you have a weird, shark fin nose, okay, just get a rhinoplasty. Just fix the nose, right? If you're almost there, okay? Understanding female nature. So some of you guys, a lot of your failures of dating women in the West are not your fault. the dating market in the West is extremely unfair towards men. Women have all the power. Men have none when it comes to dating in the West. And the women have comically high standards. But at the same time, some of you guys, need to self-improve like we talked about, improve your finances, improve your social skills, improve your look. And a lot of you guys just don't understand female nature. You got to understand women can be promiscuous. Women can be manipulative. Some of you guys get in relationships with single mothers. And going back to, not seeing the writing on the wall and understanding some female nature, if you're overseas in a country and you're, dating a girl and her social media is her always in bikinis, half naked, showing off her body, mirror selfies, showing her booty and a thong, stuff like that. You got to understand, like, she has sugar daddies or she's a working girl. And some of you guys get into weird, sugar relationships. Absolutely under no circumstances should you ever lead with money. You shouldn't go there for tricking. I even know guys who go down to Latin America for tricking, end up really, really liking one of these, women that they were paying for, and then they end up getting into relationships with these women. Train wreck. Absolute guaranteed train wreck. So you have to, kind of red pill yourself, and you have to understand female nature. And then the last common mistake, and I would say this is the biggest one that I see with guys trying to succeed with women overseas, is not understanding that modern dating is online dating. Okay, I'm going to say this again. Modern dating is online dating. Meeting women at coffee shops, through day game, and, shopping malls and stuff like that. It can work in the right market if you're really smooth, if you're fairly young and good looking, and if you know what you're doing. Typically, the harder the dating market, the more you need to rely on online. The easier the dating market, the more you can get away with doing some stuff in person. Like I said earlier, I was picking up beauty pageant winners. I am in the ultimate favorable dating market. But like I said, if you come here, respect the women. Don't come here for tourism, and they're not easy. But I'm just saying it is a very favorable market for foreigners, especially a white foreigner, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. And that's cool, but it's extremely time inefficient, just trolling the malls and day game. I hate nightclubs. They're dirty, they're loud, they're really hard to make connections. A lot of girls with loose values typically go to nightclubs. And like I said, day game, the ROI on your time, bro, you can be out for, even in a country or a city with a lot of beautiful women, you can be out there for, 45 minutes before you see an attractive girl, and it's very time inefficient. So a lot of you guys think you're just going to get your passport, you have your terrible photos, your car selfie, your whatever, you're like touching your cat in a weird way on your grandma's couch in the basement under horrible light. Like, I don't know what it is, but you guys typically have selfies and terrible profiles. I'm going to show a case study of a guy named Stephen Smith. Most of you guys look like this online, okay? This is probably an exaggerated example. This is probably just like a little bit worse than what most of you guys have, but not that much worse. A lot of you guys think you have good photos, but you're either equal to what Steven had or even worse. You don't understand composition. I won't get into a whole training now, but this is the same thing. This is chicken parm on the left, and this is chicken parm on the right. But by understanding photography and getting good at, digital dating, you can be this chicken parm, bright, colorful, in focus, garnish, etc., or drab, too low of a saturation, not colorful. But, to your taste buds, this is the same thing. This is the same food to your taste buds, but it's just, presented differently. Here's an example with humans, right? You guys don't understand this. You passport bros, you're going overseas. You don't understand that, like, okay, if I get a photo with a good composition, I could be sitting in a chair like this. Most of your guys' version of sitting in a chair is like that, or at a restaurant. Again, I'll go through this quickly because I know some of you guys are like, kind of tuning out to this stuff, whatever, but pay attention because this is important, okay? This is what happens when you dress basically. You take a photo with basic people on a basic camera in a basic restaurant. This is what happens when you have great fashion, great setting, great, sexy, beautiful people, great lighting, a bit of touching up, a bit of editing. Right? It's the same person. It's a man sitting in a chair alone or a man sitting in a chair with friends, okay? And these are examples of, if you want to put together an awesome profile. And again, this is like, we're staying on theme here, okay? Don't think I'm getting off track here. You guys think with your crappy photos that didn't work, that didn't get you any matches in the US, that you're going to come down here with your equally crappy photos. This is your main profile picture. And you think like, well, now that I'm in Bangkok or now that I'm in Manila, Philippines, now it's all going to work out. No, you still need high quality photos. You need to learn about this stuff. You need to learn how to edit the photos, where to take the photos, how to do the fashion, how to pose, how to touch them up, find like-minded friends who can go out and do these photos with you. So, like I said, I mean, think about it from the girl's perspective, right? Would you want to swipe right on, this version of Steven or this version of Steven? And again, I use Steven because, not only, he's a client that I helped, but look at his results, and he's a very average guy. So I specifically wanted to show Steven as a guy who had the terrible photos. He got the good photos, and Steven is dating on a regular basis women that, I would call an 8 out of 10. Absolutely stunning, gorgeous, beautiful women. And Steven has the profile that does the work. So don't think that your old Tinder photos from the US that didn't work there are going to magically work when you go overseas, okay? So I hope you guys enjoy this. If you want to go deeper, you definitely want to check out my Modern Dating Mastery program. Again, it's called Modern Dating Mastery. It is a digital course. It is a community. It comes with coaching, one-on-one coaching, coaching calls, etc., all that stuff. It's very, very affordable. Even if you're a broke boy, you can afford Modern Dating Mastery. It's super cheap. Actually, I do a $1 free trial as well. So you can try it for a week for $1. If it sucks, just cancel and you only lost $1, okay? I'll just read what I have here. Modern Dating Mastery is your essential toolkit to survive and thrive in, quite frankly, what is the worst dating market we've ever seen as men. The rules of modern dating have changed due to feminism, social media, and anti-male propaganda. Dating for the modern man is more difficult than ever. But like I said, I wanted to coach you guys on how to successfully date abroad, be a passport bro, be an expatriate, find love and romance online. I wasn't really here to pitch you, but if you think like, damn, if this guy gives away this much value in a free YouTube video, I wonder how good his community and his courses are. Like, he gives this away for free. What does he give you if you actually pay him? Obviously, the value is 10 times greater than what I give away for free if you actually pay me. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to go deeper and learn more about this stuff, talk to other like-minded guys in a community, consider checking out Modern Dating Mastery. The link to get more information and join Modern Dating Mastery, like I said, you can try it for just $1 for a week. If it sucks, just cancel and you only lost $1. If you like it, it'll continue with the subscription. The information for all that is in the description of this video. So if you're watching this on YouTube, just check the description of this video for a link to Modern Dating Mastery. If you're on some website or something, there's already probably a link on this page. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please subscribe. Even if you don't want to, join my course, whatever like that, that's fine. You don't want to join the community, cool. Subscribe to the video. That super boosts the video and the algorithm. I want to help as many guys as I can. I think I've earned that right. I think I've created a pretty good free training and free resource. And let's help as many guys as possible. Subscribe, and thank you guys for watching. Peace out.